There is a place, oh don't you cry. I step in the distance, I see the rose-colored sky. Until we come together and the veil is realigned, we will sing of a place with no more light.
It was killing me slowly. I should've listened to the things that you told me. Am I just human or a heretic? Show me. I'm sick of falling face down. I'm feeling unstable. Would you throw it all away now? It shows I really haven't changed. I haven't changed now. For all my days I was saying I'm fine. I feel the weight of my shame when I look in your eyes and just lie. I lie to your face. I just lie.
Hello there. Can everybody hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Is my audio good? A bit quiet? Okay, let me turn it up a little bit. Is that better? Is that audio better? Better. I increased the gain on my mic. All right, sweet. Hello there. So we have Perligo and louder wouldn't hurt, but it's better. Maybe bring the mic down closer to me, like that. Get the yeah, there we go. Is that better? Nice. Alrighty, y'all. Well, hello there. It is good to see y'all. So we got 3 in here right now. Hopefully more will join as time goes on. Sorry for the chewing. Eating chips. Alrighty. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about, at least for the 2 of you that are here as of this moment, talk a little bit about my plan for this stream. So the idea is at the start of everything, I'm kind of going to go through my initial impressions about the setup of the lore, who currently is running the JD Music Fan account and representing JD Music Fan right now. Would this be Amber? All right, Popsy. Cool. All right, awesome. So, yeah, thank you for sending me that message about the chronological order of the JD lore. That will be helpful because we're going to be touching on the music videos as well as some of the album trailers and stuff like that. So that'll be very helpful to have. So, it says we got 2 watching right now. I'm going to send a few people some messages. Hopefully some more people will join. Uno momento. Give me a second. Sending some messages. All right. See if we'll get a few more people in here. Drop the link in community tab. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, I guess as we wait for a couple of minutes, how are y'all doing? Good. Good. Yeah, doing good. Chilling. Just got off work a couple hours ago. A 9-hour shoot. 9-hour shoot for what? What are you shooting for? A live event? Nothing okay. Okay, so you shoot live events. Is that like a like your job outside of the channel is shooting live events? Videographer, photographer? Okay, nice. That's cool. Day job is video editor. Sick. Awesome. Perligo dropping some lore. Cool. The new crib is nice. I've been able to get a good setup going here. It's my bed back there. I got the 21 Pilots poster up. I put the CD in the frame with the picture and the little insert from the Torchbearer box set. Got 4 CDs going along the bottom here, and then I got my 1 vinyl up at the top, and that's silver up there. So, but yeah, it's great. I love this setup. It's a very compact room. Can't see it, but off over here, I have 3 guitars and my ukulele, and then my desk and my piano's right here as well. So yeah, it's a good setup. I like it. Very compact, very tidy. So it's been great. Been a good move in here. I've been able to plug in. It was very different being away from home in Dallas, but College Station's great. What's above the TOP post? That's silver. So what I got was I got this vinyl display thing. It's a rack that displays both the packaging and then there's a little pin on it that you can set the vinyl on. So it displays the sleeve and the vinyl itself. So yeah, that's the sleeve and the vinyl for silver, both displayed at once. And I want to get more vinyls and stuff. Yeah, I wanna get. Oh wait, were you talking about the darker thing above the poster, or are you talking about what's actually sitting like right in front of the poster? Okay, yeah, the darker thing. Yeah, that's silver. So yeah, so. That's my setup. It's a humble one, but I hope to get more vinyls and stuff very soon. But yeah, more vinyls, more CDs and such. I really need them to release a vinyl for Napalm and for the Haze, because if I could get those. All three of them are going at the top. Funny enough, those actually just finally made it into, I think all three of their albums are my top 3 albums of lifetime on Spotify at this point. So, accomplishments. Yeah, the JD Tony and Pilots fan base crossover is great. It's a great one, and it makes a lot of sense. Some people like it, some people don't like it. I personally, I think it's awesome. Because the thing is, like, just because can't make it in, yeah, the video will be recorded. This stream will be up on the channel. Eventually, I'm going to see if I can do a cut of the video and just kind of bake in the finer points of everything. But yeah, it will be recorded. And they will be able to watch it. So, but yeah. All right, we got 5 people in here. I say we go ahead and maybe go ahead and get started. So, we'll go ahead and give this a shot. So, I'm gonna be looking occasionally over tabs. I'm on one monitor now, which I wasn't on before. So this will be interesting. But yeah, so I'm gonna switch over now, and here we go. Oh no, you can see inside the YouTube studio. Howdy, finally made it in. Hello, Neo Skies. How are you? Who are you? That is the question. It's good to see you here. Thank you for being here. Yes, about the project. Yes, hello. Yes. It is good to see you. Sorry, I think the handles are different, so sometimes it can mess me up, but yeah. Awesome. Glad to see you here. Yes. It's so nice to see people finally really getting into the lore, because I think JD's had a big jump with just their music recently. So it's really nice to see people starting to get a little bit more in depth with the stuff that they've put out. I'm personally very excited to see where this goes. So alrighty, give me a second. I'm going to break this window out. Okay, sweet. Never mind, the chat does not have to be up on screen at the exact same time that I'm doing this. So, lore and their history. Heck yeah. Super excited. It's going to be awesome. All right, y'all. Well, we're gonna go ahead and get started here. So one more drink. So, based off the list of videos that JD Music Fan, I'll just call you Popsy for now. Based off the videos that Popsy sent me, in their chronological order, there's only one change that I would make, and it's that I would swap rose-colored lenses and modern era. Reason being, I'm gonna try and make sure I keep up with the chat here. Let's see if there's a way I can make it pop out. Pop out chat. Yes, this is terrific. I can pop out the chat. Okay. Yeah, I would swap those personally because of the fact that they are how best do I put this? Like the rose-colored lenses began to exist in modern era, and then rose-colored lenses I would assume came after. It was as a result, a later result. So modern era is basically context for rose-colored lenses. Yeah, okay, so when you said chronological, I didn't know if you meant lore-wise or... Okay, that makes sense, yeah. Okay. Sweet. But yeah, so... we have modern era first, and I guess I'll go ahead and open with this. So here we have Ted. Ted is a goofy little guy. He is... I personally, when I started getting into the lore, my impression of Ted was that he was the he was the protagonist, and I think that was a lot of people's impressions. But as Silver has come around and as Napalm has come around, I think impressions have changed a little bit. Uh-oh, what? Is the stream messing up right now? Stream lagging? We're good? Okay, sweet. I may have a little bit too much open on my end. I'll go ahead and close all for now. All right, cool. So we had orders updated, refresh modern errors number 1. Okay. Yeah. So, I'll go ahead and refresh this one more time.
Welcome to the modern era.
Yeah, it's number 1 now. Sweet. So, I think a lot of people, myself included, believed that Ted was the protagonist, like the good guy of the story, and this was going to be kind of going through him finding his way through the haze and hopefully finding triumph over it. And the Haze album was sort of like that a little bit. I'll probably be pulling stuff up here and there. There is a interview that JD did with Radio U. It was. There was an interview that came out with Radio U around the time of the release of the Haze, and Jarrett explained that the Haze is a representation of brokenness, and Ted is a representation of a person trying to break out of the brokenness, and that the Haze was sort of the layout of the album was sort of, at least sort of seemed to imply that this is sort of from the perspective of Ted. So it's interesting, the way I've kind of ordered the songs on the album for the Haze. Let me go ahead and pull up the album here. So, the Haze, Rose-Colored Lenses, Entropy, and Inverted Forest. What makes the most sense to me is that those are like the first part of the album. They are expositing the problem within the Haze, and I'm going to be touching on this in my Haze analysis later on. Those are expositing on the problem within the Haze. The next few songs are, as what Jarrett called them, the faulty solution. So you got Modern Era, 1970, Gravitate, Candy, and Medication. These 5 songs represent the solutions that do not work, that Jarrett said were intermingled with the album. And I'll link a lot of this stuff down below. And then My Moonlight and Sunseekers are duly representative of the solution, or My Moonlight is sort of in the lead up to Sunseekers. The reason I think My Moonlight is specifically part of this is the moon reflects the sun, and there's a whole lot of things, I say a whole lot of things, mainly just that makes me think that this is basically a representation of the moon reflecting the sun, and both of these songs kind of working in tandem to talk about the good, or the solution. So the Haze has Ted on the cover, and we get Modern Era, where Ted invents the rose-colored lenses, and his world around him warps, and we get this shot right here, and he's like, okay, I gotta figure out a way to fix this. So he invents, he starts working on inventing the rose-colored lenses. Let me go ahead and find it. There we go. Pair of rose-colored lenses. So the rose-colored lenses are essentially his way of coping with the brokenness of the Haze. I want to clarify something here. I believe that the Haze is itself the world in which the story takes place, and I'll explain that a bit more later. Trying to figure out the best way to word this. I've already gone off into a bunch of rabbit trails with explaining this, so I'm going to back up a little bit, start fresh, and I'll touch on all that in a second. So let's just talk about Ted, just about Ted for a second. So Ted Silver, when he was a young child, we learned this from Modern Era, was in a car accident with his parents. Unfortunately, as is indicated to us from the Modern Era music video, where we see him next to the police cars, he is the only one who survived. His parents unfortunately did not, which is very sad, obviously. Losing people is it's a major catalyst for all types of grief. So already from the start here with Ted's story, we're tackling a very heavy subject matter. As a result of this, we learned from the Napalm album trailer that Ted has disappeared. This daughter is asking about this house, or the granddaughter of this woman is asking about the haunted house that is across the street from them. And the grandmother explains that the man who lived there, or the boy who lived there, as she knew him, his name was Ted Silver. He lived there with his parents, and his parents tragically died in a car accident. Very unfortunate indeed. He disappeared after that. No one really knew what he did during that time. There's no indication as to who may have raised him. No particular indicator as to what specifically he was doing during the time he disappeared. We may learn more about that later. all we know from the Napalm album trailer is that he came back and he had established himself as a very great inventor. And the things that he invented, namely, were the rose-colored lenses. Now, as we see in modern era, the lenses he manufactures as a method, as part of his personal method to cope with the loss of his parents. And you see this starting all the way back when he was young. So this is a pattern for him, this pattern of escapism. So he makes his own version of the lenses when he's a kid. And we see he makes his own version of the lenses as an adult. And this is, for him, his method of escape, his method of blocking out the noise, his method of coping and addressing the brokenness of the world that he lives in. The lyric of modern era is, "Tell me, am I the only one who's losing sleep over pain in this life?" Like, I can't be the only one. Is there a significance to him dunking his head in the water? That's a good question. I don't know about that for sure. What I do know is, I don't know why I thought of that shot from the Modern Era music video when, during the Silver album trailer, we got that weird shot of the, maybe, I guess it was the rose-colored lens serum kind of floating throughout the water. Those two shots connected in my mind somehow. I don't know if there's any particular significance to him dunking his head in the water. I don't think there's really any drowning imagery throughout their music or anything super significant with that. So there may be not. There was a shot of Jared also dunking his head in the water too. There's a shot of Jared also dunking his head in the water. Yeah. So that was that in the album trailer? I would assume it wasn't all in the album trailer for Silver, correct? Been thinking a lot about how when he lost everyone in the wreck, the last thing he saw was the light and then lives to hate the light. That is a very interesting parallel. Honestly, I had not thought about that. Drowning or Sorrow is probably too on the nose. See, that would be my instinct, but I don't know for sure because there's so much significance in everything that they do that I can't ever rule anything out. But as of right now, I don't think there's anything particularly significant other than maybe some amount of symbolism. As far as anything super primary, I don't know. But yeah, Neo, that is a very good point. That's a parallel I had not thought about before. That's cool. Lives to hate the light. That brings up some interesting significance that I'm gonna need to think about a lot more when I think about Ted as a character and some of the connections of the things that he sings about or does in the lore. That's great. Awesome. See, look at this. Look, the Sunseekers putting their heads together. I'm glad about this. Only a few people here right now, but very happy about it. So, but yeah, Ted gets in an accident with his parents as a child. His parents pass away, unfortunately. He disappears from the public eye. Returns a few years later, very much not the same. Because why else would the wreck have been at night? He establishes a love for the calm before the storm. My brain just broke. Hold on. My words were not wording there for a second. He establishes a love for the calm before. So I get that. The idea of establishing a love for the calm before the storm. I think we see some of that reflected in 1970 as a song, aka Falling in Love with the Darkness. Yeah, okay, I think I see where you're going with this. I don't know if the significance of it being at night necessarily, but yeah, the premise, he establishes a love for the calm before the storm. That makes me think of 1970, this idea of romanticizing the past, romanticizing before things got hard and when everything seemed a lot simpler. It being at night, I don't know if that has any particular significance other than the fact that, like, I think the case itself in which all this happened, finding comfort in darkness. See, the only thing is I don't know if that would be a reach or not to say that just the fact that the car crash was set at night, like there's combining the situational, just the circumstantial explanation of like the actual events which took place, and then how those connect to the symbolism. But how finding comfort in darkness. Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. That makes more sense. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I see what you're saying. Lost memory he has to hold on to of his parents. That does make sense. See, that makes me wonder about, there are things that I'll wonder about with the symbolism they'll choose or different little details in the lore. And I'm like, am I crazy for thinking this is significant? Am I and then someone else will say they'll notice similar things or think about something just as deeply but in a different context. And I'll be like, okay, I'm not the only one, thank goodness. So, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, but yeah, so he makes the lenses in order to cope, and when he comes back to, I presume, the town of Ophelia, he establishes the company Silver Screen Broadcasting, or Silver Enterprise, and then the marketing arm or the propaganda arm of that company is Silver Screen Broadcasting. Which, when I found out about the Instagram page for Silver Screen Broadcasting, I about lost it. I was so excited. Made me so happy to see. But yeah, so we get modern era, and everything's going on. He's got his lenses on. Him and his younger self are having a great time. This is how he's reconciled everything. This is how he's begun to cope. Then the light turns back on. And what I think is going on here, this sudden... you see, he picks up his painting bag, and he has his lenses on, and he starts walking elsewhere. So, my assumption there is that he is heading to his workshop, or another corner of his workshop, which would lead us into Inverted Forest. Why is Inverted Forest restricted? What is going on? Here we go. I don't know what is going on. I can't seem to access the Inverted Forest music video, guys. Something is deadly wrong right now. Give me a moment. Let's see if this works now. The heck? I don't know what is going on right now, guys. It's working for you. It might just be something weird going on specifically with my computer. That's probably all it is my computer is just likely being very, very strange. Yeah, trying to refresh right now. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can reopen. There we go. Let's go to the playlist again. Here we go. And we're back. All right, we got it fixed. Sweet. We're good. All right. So this is the pattern here. This is the overarching story thus far. Ted gets in an accident as a child. His parents pass away. He creates the lenses as a coping mechanism to get through the death of his parents. And it's a temporary solution, doesn't really end up working, so later on in his life, he puts the lenses on again. He makes a more refined version of the lenses, puts them on again, and he starts distributing these lenses to the world through his company, Silver Enterprise. Now, by the point that he does this, by the point that we see him here in his workshop working on this painting of the inverted forest, it seems evident that he's already gone somewhere with this, because these are harvesters. And if you don't know what harvesters are, they are individuals who are sent out by Ted to collect the rose-colored lenses serum in order to make the rose-colored lenses. Jarrett and Ashton were previously harvesters, from what we can tell. As it appears, Jarrett and Ashton were previously harvesters for Silver Enterprise. However, it seems that they may have left the whole thing behind, because we see in Inverted Forest that they are trying to destroy the lenses rather than continue to, collect for manufacturing the lenses. And it's a very interesting music video to me, because this dual perspective of it's like the painting is telling Ted about the misdeeds of his employees. It's very weird. It's like mirror, mirror on the wall, and then Ted speaks to his inverted forest painting. But yeah. So that's what seems to be going on. He's established this company. His harvesters, two of them specifically, Jared and Ashton, are rebelling, and they are looking to foil Ted's plans. Trying to figure out where to go from here. So at this point, I think it's a good idea to explain what the lenses are. That's where I'll go next with this. So I have a pair here. These are dirty. It's been a while since I worn these. These are the rose-colored lenses. Now, what the rose-colored lenses do is they alter the wearer's perception of reality. It doesn't just make everything around a nice rosy color. It literally changes how the wearer perceives the world around them. And I think this can be different for each person. Rose-colored lenses, to me, seem to be a catch-all representation of every false view of the world, every false solution to the brokenness of the haze. That's what currently makes the most sense to me. So if that's the case, the veil, the rose-colored lenses can serve each individual person differently. And I think we see this throughout the album of the haze. We see, for example, modern era is sort of this idea of okay, I guess I'm going to go ahead and fit in with everybody else. I'll just do whatever everybody else is doing. And I can't go against the grain. I can't be that guy. So that's modern era. There's 1970, this idea of romanticizing the past, thinking that things were better before. There's medication, which touches on a very, very interesting, and I think a very important question. This idea of balancing one's faith with the need for maybe some artificial help when it comes to spiritual or emotional things. Basically, putting it bluntly, like, can a Christian be on antidepressants? That's sort of what it seems like medication is addressing. But more broadly, it's addressing this balance of, are you depending on this? Is this your veil? Or is medication your veil? Is romanticizing the past your veil? Then there's Candy. Candy is a song that I would, trying to figure out the best way to put it. I'd say it is arguably JD's most, and I hate to use this term, I'd say Candy is arguably JD's most dirty song. That's the best way I can put it. And I say that because I think there are... Let me go ahead and pull up the lyrics here. I'm going to pull up the lyrics and track list for the Haze. I think this will be helpful. So if we go to Candy, he goes, I got a feeling that we think the same, so baby, I'm going to just say it and I won't feel no shame. You got that look on your eyes and you keep on staring. I'm not good at reading looks, but to me, you want to get married. It says, first things first, I don't want to hand out I don't hand my last name out like it's candy, but you can take it now in a heartbeat, baby. I just want to know what's on your mind, but I'll let you into mine. There's this quickness to the nature of this song, as it relates to whoever Jared is speaking to. And I may be this may be one of the things where I may be reading a bit too far into it. There's this quickness in the way that Jared is speaking to this person, almost as if, you know what? Never mind. I'm getting way too far into this. I'm doubling with my Haze analysis. Love struck song, honeymoon phase kind of feeling. But the thing is, and I guess I'll keep touching on it real quick. The interesting thing. I don't know if things slowed down there for a second. Sorry, there might have been some lag. The interesting thing is you go here. This is verse 2 here. It says, 'cause she dressed so smooth, but there's one thing wrong. It's that she ain't got a white dress on to make it up. That line, to me, makes this song stick out as a representation, possibly, of lust. That's my impression. It appears the stream may be a little bit slow. Is everything good? Hello? Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? We good? We back? Hello? This is very unfortunate. Okay. Are we back? It's showing that we're back on my end. Okay. Good again. Sweet. All right, we're gonna try this a couple more times. If it keeps doing this, I may have to end it because I don't know if there's some kind of spike going on right now. Hit here in Columbus with a thunderstorm. Oh, man. Boy, now I feel bad because I've been kind of jumping around a lot and we haven't made much progress. I should have prepared more for this stream. I got 6 people here right now, though. Okay, I keep getting loading icons on my screen and such. Great conversation. Okay. All right. Well, we'll keep going then. So, yeah, what I was saying about Candy is it seems to be, in full disclosure, I'm analyzing a lot of the lyrics and a lot of the story through the lens of being a Christian. I know JD are professing Christians, and there's places in my upcoming analysis video and beyond that I plan on touching on that. So to me, this song sort of seems to be a representation of lust. That's sort of the way that I'm interpreting it. Medication is from the perspective of addiction. Gravitate is from the perspective of this sort of not symbiotic, parasitic relationship with another person, whether it's sin or whatever the proverbial other person is. That's what Gravitate seems to be about. Romanticizing the past, basically, basically thinking the grass is greener elsewhere for 1970, and then for modern era, this idea of just conforming to the world around you, period. And each of those to me seem to make sense in context with rose-colored lenses as themselves forms of the rose-colored lenses for each individual person within the haze. And obviously there's a bunch of different versions of that for every person who wears the lenses. But that's the quick interpretation that I had. So what do the lenses actually do? They alter a person's sense of morality, and they conform someone to the Great Veil. So the Great Veil is the collective hive mind that is created between people that wear the lenses. And the goal of Silver Enterprise is to get everybody to wear this veil. And the goal of Silver Enterprise is the goal of Ted. Ted's big thing is he wants control. His goal is control. His goal is to get everybody thinking the same way that he is. We learned this in Chokehold off of Silver. Chokehold, to my understanding, is from the perspective of Ted Silver. So there was kind of lenses. There's been some theories going around about like where is the haze, and how does the world which a person enters when they put on the lenses relate to the world of the haze. I think that the world of the haze itself is the world in which our entire story is taking place. The haze is Earth in this case. I think the lenses, what they do is they're sort of like a placebo. I think I'm using that term correctly. It helps with the pain, but it doesn't address the... I don't even think I'm using that right. I'm not even using the term placebo right, I don't think. But it's this idea that it helps the pain, but it doesn't address the root issue. And when you don't address the root issue spreads. So to my understanding, what the lenses do is they pacify a person. They basically give them some kind of temporary relief from the haze, but the relief is so strong and so tempting that as a result, the haze, like it works as a distraction so that the haze continues to corrupt this person. I don't think the lenses themselves are necessarily what kill people, what turn people into ghost men or anything like that. It just keeps someone in the broken world for longer and longer without any actual remedy. I think there's some interesting. I think there's some good evidence for this because we see early on we get this picture of Ted as a kid and Ted as an adult. As a kid, he has his version of the lenses, and it lasts him for a little while. But then we see in the beginning of the Modern Era music video, he's strolling down the street. All of a sudden, the world begins to warp around him again. So he gets the lens. He makes more lenses, and he starts distributing these to other people. The lenses are a temporary solution, and you can become more wary to the effects of the haze when you're not wearing the lenses. And there's two responses to that. You either put the lenses back on and hide from it, or you start looking for the real solution to the brokenness of the haze. So, does that all make sense? I've been wording for a very long time. I want to make sure that I'm not completely dominating everything. So, Ted Silver makes the lenses. They are a pacifier to those within the haze. And that's sort of the impression that I'm getting thus far. Hello. Are people here? Okay. Appreciate it. Good to know. This is going to be condensed at some point into a video. All right, sweet. So, the lenses being a pacifier and a method by which Ted can control everybody means when you have a company like Silver Enterprise with as much influence as it has, that influence means that Ted's control through the lenses can start to spread everywhere. So that becomes Ted's goal. He becomes consumed with this idea of control. Everybody thinking the same way as him, or not even necessarily thinking the same way as him, but running in the same way as him, running away from the light in the same way as him. Because there is some sort of there is this pursuit of some sort of collective consensus through the light. Like everybody in the Sunseekers is trying to unite by seeking the sun. Like that's one thing it seems to indicate. There's a solution that everybody's trying to seek. So it's not necessarily that everybody thinking the same is itself the problem. Can't hear anymore. Okay. So I just lost my train of thought. But yeah. So that's what the lenses basically are. Ted establishes a company to manufacture these lenses, distribute them to everybody. He has employees known as harvesters. These harvesters collect the serum to manufacture the lenses. The serum goes to people at head of lab and research to eventually refine it and produce the lenses. And that's where a couple of our other characters come in. So that's sort of the backstory of Ted. Accident, makes the lenses, makes a company out of selling the lenses, starts to get a bunch of people on board with it, and he has these harvesters that harvest the serum through dubious means at best. And then, sorry, my upper lip is itching for some reason. And then the harvesters, that's where Jarrett and Ashton come in. So Jarrett and Ashton previously seem to have been harvesters. And they are I'd say are arguably our protagonists throughout the whole of this story, because our focus has been on them a lot from Napalm and into Silver and their relation to the company. So, as harvesters, they previously worked for the company. However, through some sort of occurrence, they are no longer with. They're working against the company. They're working to sabotage Ted's operations. We see them trying to destroy the lenses in Inverted Forest. We see them running away. We see them burning down the haunted house in the New Era Begins video. And touching on that, you put that in here. So, New Chapter Begins. We see this happen in the Silver album trailer. So they're actively working against Silver Enterprise now, which is interesting if you think about it. We don't really have any context as to why they ended up deciding to leave the company. So that is one little interesting tidbit that I wonder if we'll see explored a little bit more. What caused them to leave behind Silver Enterprise? I'm going to look away from chat here for a little bit. I've been spending a long time looking at the chat, waiting for stuff to come through, and stuff hasn't come through for a bit. So in order for my train of thought to stay consistent, I'm just moving over to another tab. So we've gone through here, Modern Era, and this is where we get to Inverted Force. The first instance we see of really other characters besides Ted, if we're talking about chronological order of the story. So he's in his workshop. He's making this painting, the Inverted Forest. We see Jarrett and Ashton going through the Inverted Forest. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. And they are looking around for something. We don't know what yet. They scrape this blue goop off of a tree. They find a black apple. And those are two things that I really want to understand what the significance of them is. Because we haven't really gotten much else besides those. I don't know if there is any continued significance. We haven't seen those show up anywhere else except in this video. So it may have just been a one-off thing while they were getting the story on its feet. Who knows? But here they are. They are here in their harvester garb, and we see Jarrett. He sets the lenses on a tree stump and attempts to destroy them. Fails. Blue whatever bursts out from the lenses, like this blue protective energy, which is very interesting. I think reinforces my idea that the lenses are a pacifier for the people within the haze, but they themselves only contribute to the brokenness in a person. And if the haze is a representation of brokenness, and blue, if we're following, if there is any type of JD color theory, if blue is the representation of the haze, because we get the album cover for the haze and all that, if blue is the color representative of the haze, then the blue energy coming off of the lenses, it would make sense in that context. I think we see here in a second, I don't know if it's here or elsewhere, but there's a moment in this where we see like this blue light flash across Jarrett's eyes, which I thought was very interesting. There's a little details throughout this video that I find very intriguing. So all the while that this is going on, we see these shots of Ted, like he's like looking in the camera, like, oh my goodness, what's happening? Who is trying to destroy my lenses? And it seems that some way or another, he is aware of what is going on, of the lenses, of someone attempting to destroy the lenses. which makes me wonder about Ted's connection with them, because he invented the lenses. So I wonder if he's connected to them in some way, if this idea of the Great Veil and his control over the people who wear their own version of the veil with the lenses, it makes me wonder if there's some sort of hive mind that he's sort of the head of, if you will, and that him wearing his lenses and the lenses being attempted to be destroyed in another area. I wonder if that somehow alerts him or anything like that. Random idea. But let's see what happens. So Jarrett and Ashton both give it a shot trying to destroy the lenses. And they both fail. So the lenses are extremely, extremely powerful. And extremely resilient. Video goes on. We get these awesome shots inside the inverted forests, which is where I presume they are. And then this happens. Ted paints a ghost inside the inverted forest. So this is the first time in the lore that we see a ghost man. And it appears that this ghost man is controlled in some way and somehow summoned by Ted. Which I think is just very interesting. If we take all the lore together, there's something going on here that I don't even I don't understand yet how a lot of this stuff relates to each other. But I find it very interesting. The first time we see a ghost man, it isn't Ted himself. It is a ghost which he painted into the inverted forest. So we get these shots of the ghost, get these shots of someone running, someone with a lantern, and they smash it against a tree. This is J. Joseph. And that is all I know. That's all. This is J. Joseph, and that is all I know. Because there are so many things about J. Joseph and this imagery here with burning the forest down, and his verse within inverted forest that don't make sense to me, that I'm still trying to figure out. Not that they don't make sense in the context of the story, but there's so many different implications I could draw, various different things that I'm still trying to figure out. So, for now, this is J. Joseph. He's a good guy. He burns down the inverted forest. So, that's great. And we see, as it goes on, everything's burning, and then we get this ending shot here. We get this one shot. This is Ted, obviously. He's in his studio. He's watching this painting catch on fire. The whole forest burns down. The ghost flees away. And at the end of the video, we get the burning shot of the painting and the burning shot of the lenses. So fire is the answer to somehow addressing the lenses, addressing the inverted forest. And I think napalm dives into that a little bit more. We see some implications there in like secondhand smoke, burn everything evil so I don't go back again, stuff like that. So very, very interesting. But I've been talking for a few minutes. Let me take a look at chat here. Here's a question. In the inverted forest, we see them picking an apple from a tree. Is this an Adam and Eve reference? It could be. It goes into add to my point above. If this is an Adam and Eve reference, is the apple on the tree the realization that they're in a broken world? It could be an Adam and Eve reference. Honestly, that brings up an implication in the video that I haven't thought about before. So if we're watching Inverted Forest, and I'm interpreting this through the lens that you just kind of gave, if we watch Inverted Forest as there's a progression here, I guess. At the first part, We back? Hello? We good? Showed the stream cut out there for a second, so I just want to make sure we're all good. Assuming we are, I'm going to continue with what I was saying. So this idea, Ashton did say the song did take inspiration from the Garden of Eden, so it doesn't surprise me. See, Sunseekers, if you can send me if you can DM me all that Ashton said about that, if you have any access to it, that would be very interesting to look into. Because I remember you mentioned that to me at one point, and I'm still trying to fully understand how. Is the inverted forest a representation of Eden, or is it the world outside of Eden? Is it a fallen Eden? Fallen Eden would make sense. This idea of the inverted forest, the forest is Eden, but the inverted forest is the world cursed. Yeah, inverted Eden, basically, which would make sense. So when you see Jared and Ashton going through, at first they're picking up this blue goo. I think the assumption, at least I made there with the blue goo, is that the blue goo, I've said blue goo more times than I ever thought I would in the span of less than 15 seconds. The blue stuff is seemingly something related to what they're out there harvesting as harvesters. Don't know that for sure, but that's what it seems to be. Then they come across the black apple, like the black burning apple. Is that a turning point in the video? Maybe. And that would be to your point, Popsy, this idea of they come across the apple, and then maybe the apple is what makes them realize that the world around them is so destroyed and broken. The apple, which is meant for food, is this thing that it's burning, it's dark, it's evil, it's harmful. Which I guess then, if the progression I'm thinking of makes sense, would make them turn around and start trying to destroy the lenses. That would be a very quick progression in the video, that they see that they're part of the problem, that they see a problem, and that they try to address the problem. All in the span of like the first minute of the video or something like that. So it's possible. So I very interesting point to bring up, and like Sunseeker said, Ashton did at one point say that it had something to do with the Garden of Eden. So in the fall, I guess that would make a lot of sense. Don't have the messages. Yeah, it's fine. We'll go off what we have. So some interesting, like, just pure storyline, non-symbolism implications in this video. After the Inverted Forest music video, we don't see Ted anymore. Like, at all. The only two videos in which we see Ted are Modern Era and Inverted. I mean, we see him in the context, of course, of the Napalm album trailer, because it's like flashbacks and stuff. But like storyline wise, we see Ted in Modern Era and Inverted Forest, and that's about it. But Ted is still one of the most central parts of the story. So what I think possibly happened, and this goes to your point, you said, Popsy, you said, at first I assumed Ted was a ghost man, but I'm actually not sure he's a ghost man at all. But he's creating all the ghost men. I don't know if I think he's a ghost man, but I also don't know if I think he's not. And my reasoning for this, there was a fire at his workshop. The house he's in is haunted. In the Napalm album trailer, the lady says that some say he still haunts the house. And the assumption there, I think, is that means he's a ghost man. He is haunting the house. Perligo touched on this in his lore video with Stolen Potential. this idea of the lenses, when a person dies with the lenses or turns into the husk that they become with the lenses on, they turn this like dull burnt orange color. So I think that the eyes on the ghost men are a representation of the lenses, like where the lenses would be on a living person. But because they died with the lenses on, if we're taking some of the Christian imagery with this, that could mean they're dead in their sins or something like that. They still wear the lenses, but they're husk, they're a ghost now. Whatever a different wordings of that would be, I don't know for sure, but that's the impression that I got. So Ted, I think, though, may have somehow assumed a form beyond just being a normal ghost man, because all the ghost men essentially look the same, but it also seems like the ghost men have some sort of respect or regard for Ted specifically, or him, as he's him or he as he's referred to by the Ghostmen in that one video that we saw right before Silver released. There's like this gathering of people who of Ghostmen who we see talking about the Sunseekers and how sad it is that they're just like this dying breed, and that there is someone above them. They're like, I wonder what he would think, or what he thinks of what's going on. And this seems to be Ted. Ted is still very much present in some regard in this story. That's the impression that I get. So he's got some sort of overarching role in everything thus far. I think he may have died in the fire that started in his basement. Other than the Inverted Forest music video, we don't really see that supported elsewhere. That's just my working theory, that he died in the fire that began in his basement through the Inverted Forest painting. Because we never see him again after the Inverted Forest music video. So, just a thought. If that is the case, it would make sense that he would be haunting the house. So, yeah, that's where things are at. The lenses, the first destruction of the lenses we see is an inverted forest. They can be destroyed by fire. The inverted forest gets burned down, so the painting of it gets burned down. Burns down, supposedly, Ted's workshop. Yeah. Same basement we see Jarrett and Ashton hiding in the Echo Chamber music video, is at a different place. I think that might just be a different hiding place, but at the same time I don't know, because we see Jarrett, he's holding a lighter. That just brought up a weird connection to Inverted Forest to me. We don't want to hold up when we catch you with the lighter. That would be very interesting. I would assume there's probably a connection there, but I am too tired to get all the way into a brand new connection right now. So yeah, it might be the same basement. We see them open up the door to this basement in some of the promotions for Silver, so I think the basement does have some sort of significance, possibly a connection to the house and them having burned the house down. So very likely. I think the likelihood of that being okay. Never mind, because if a fire got started in his workshop, I assume we'd see more of the effects of that in the music video version of the basement. Let me go ahead and pull up the Echo Chamber music video. Let's see. First off, that dual speaker has been through so much. That dual speaker was in Inverted Forest. It's been in so many things. Is this the same basement? That is a very good question. Now I gotta look at this and analyze it. You know, it very well could be. In all honesty, more like a cellar. See, the thing is, this is the outside. If it is part of the house, I think it's the outside of the house. Like, you know how some houses will have like a storm cellar. I think that's what this might be, like a storm cellar or something like that. But I wouldn't doubt that it's connected to the house. Yeah, Jay's part of inverted forest seems to describe the beginning of echo chamber. You know what? I'm about to dive into this. Did not. These guys are gonna send me to an early grave. I'll put it that way. Early grave. I swear. So many connections, so many callbacks. It's crazy. Yeah. So, to my grave. Yeah. So many references. I could go on and on. But yeah. Anyways, so it seems to me Ted may have died in the fire. At his workshop. That's the indication that I get, and that he haunts the house now as a ghost man. So what's at the card? Hello, Courtney. How are you? Good to see you here in the stream. So, yeah, so we're at Inverted Forest at this point. I'm going to move back over here to the videos, and I will continue from there. So this is the ending that we get here. So next we have Napalm. And I'm going to pause here. Forget progressing through the lore here for a second. I want to pause here. I want to ask y'all a question. What is this pink phone? You see this pink phone over here? The pink phone? Yeah. That pink phone has been the source of so much grief for me because I understand nothing about what that phone is. I don't understand one single thing about it. Because we go here, he looks at the pink phone. Now let me back up here. See if there's anything significant about it. I can't make anything out. On that phone. Yeah, I can't. I see 331 7658 or something like that. I don't know what to do with that, but someone needs to do something with that. Someone needs to help me because this is going to make me lose my mind. Because the pink phone is in this music video. It's in multiple videos. It's in this video. It's in Inverted Forest at the beginning. It's with him in his workshop. It's in the Napalm album trailer. I think it might even be in Ghostman. I wonder. Now I gotta see if it's in Ghostman. I don't know for sure if it's here in Ghostman. But it's everywhere. Before the music video dropped, JD posted a phone number people could call, and a recording of Ted answered. I did hear about that. So, I had thought about that at one point in regard to the pink phone, but it still doesn't answer the question why throughout the entirety, like from Haze all the way into Napalm, to the promotion of Napalm too. If you remember the Stitch.io game, you can go in, you can play that game, and it's got the pink phone. Like what's just a pink telephone, and it's causing me this much shock and awe. It's not fair they can pull stuff like this off. But yeah, so the pink phone, Modern Era, Inverted Forest, Napalm album trailer, and the Napalm promotional game. That's like 4 or 5 separate places that it shows up. And I don't know if we've seen it since. I haven't been... It's been a little bit since I thought about the pink phone, but ever since I started thinking about it again recently, it's frustrated me so much. So I'll have to see if I can find it anywhere else. But yeah, so pink phone, really weird, very irritating that I don't know what the significance of it is. Okay, JD Music Fan, you just sent me the video. Yep, I see it. It's just, it's so weird. Why does the grandma have the pink phone? There are so many questions that I have, guys. You do not understand. There's so many questions about these minor details that make me wonder, like, is it possible that there's a detail out here that is going to just unlock everything? That is just going to, like, it's so infuriating, but I love it. I listen to this band for a reason. Anyways, I could go on and on about that. But, so, we have it here, Ghost Man, the whole music video. So this is the indication I think we get here, that Ted is in fact dead and a ghost man. Moving on with the lore aspect of things. Battery's running low, might want to plug in your PC. Okay, give me a second. Alright, so I'm going to try and get us caught up to the current point in the lore. Yeah, so maybe, who knows. Yeah, is Perligo still here? Yo, Ligo, you still here? But yeah, so... hello, Levi Top. Good to see you here. Just lost my train of thought. Okay. Yeah, so moving on with this video, specifically, in the context of the lore. I think we get a great indication that we think... It's clear that this takes place immediately after Inverted Forest. There's the sword. They were attempting to destroy the first off, this is cool here. I love, like, this. We know for a fact this house is a real place. There's a truck here. There's a barn. I thought that was cool. And I find it interesting that we open on a shot with the barn and the trucks and everything. little glimpse at Ted's little house and ranch area. There's the sword from Inverted Forest. There's the tanks and gas masks and everything. And this is Jared and Ashton. And they're just moving in. They're just... He does change clothes in Ghost Man. This is true. Very interesting. They're just moving into the house. Because that's a great idea. Moving into the haunted house. Isn't it? And they're setting up their instruments, they're setting up their keyboards and everything. And what I think is so interesting about this, I think the imagery here is very important. Just got back from Dude Perfect. How was it, Levi Top? I'll probably just call you Levi. How was it? Because Dude Perfect, I remember last time I saw them, they were great. It was an awesome show. But yeah. What I think is so interesting here about the symbolism of them moving into the haunted house is this idea of getting comfortable. We see this, I think, somewhat reflected in My Stripes, this idea of their concern of turning into sellouts. I think the music video has a dual meaning. Because there's Wallow, where Jared specifically talks about moving into the house and getting comfortable there and not wanting to leave. So there's a personal aspect to it, but in terms as it relates to the band, what if this is a representation of them getting comfortable, fitting in with everybody else, of them turning synthetic, one might say. They had better play synthetic at the show, is all I'm saying. Anybody in the chat know what's going on? Going to bed in a minute. Going on in regard to what? Just what's going on. We're just breaking down some of the lore. Yeah, the stream. So we're just breaking down some of the lore right now. Going through. We've gotten to Ghost Man thus far. I'm hoping to finish this up relatively soon. Yeah, they'd better play synthetic at the Nosebleeds tour. I will be very sad if they don't. But yeah, I think it's very interesting that they settled into the house, both as a band, but then we also get this idea of... Wait, Levi, when are you seeing them in November? What day? The 1st, okay. I'm seeing them on the 4th in Dallas. But yeah. So continuing on, they settle into the house, they start exploring, and they see signs that clearly it's haunted. Who'd have thunk it? He pulls out the lenses. We know this is immediately after the events of Inverted Forest. He pulls out the destroyed, shattered lenses. He hears a noise upstairs. He goes upstairs. He's exploring. He's getting a little bit too curious, and we see all these flashes about Ted, about the accident, with the car, and they're all grayscale, which this is all flashback, so I assume this is to indicate that Ted is gone. And as they're exploring the house, we see that he sees a ghost man. And lo and behold, he does what any reasonable man would do. He goes down, he sits next to a table, he pulls out a microphone and starts singing. So very, very reasonable. And there's this shot back here, also of the house, which, dude, that's such a good drawing. Like, excellent drawing right there. Get these shots of him in the plastic wrap we get these shots of but becomes possessed even though the lenses are destroyed. That is a very interesting thing as well. I think there's some dual meaning here. There's either you wear the lenses and you don't. I think there's a couple different ways to go here. Either you wear the lenses and you just let the haze take you, and you don't even realize it. You just die in the haze, or I think what's going on here is like he talks about. You see in the Stitch.io game, the line, "You got too curious, now you're just like me." So either you, this makes me think a little bit. I think it may be in Ephesians, where in Scripture, where Paul writes something about it's shameful even to speak of the things that they do in private, and he's talking about other people's sin, and I don't know if Paul necessarily meant this, but what I think is meant here by the fact that him just being in the house and exploring it, he's like toying with it, if you will. He's not putting on the lenses, but he's toying with the brokenness of the haze. He's toying with the darkness. He is curious about it in such a way that could lead to him being consumed by it. So I think the haze, at this point, there's two avenues by which the haze can take someone, and it's either through the lenses or it's through them being so interested in the haze can cause a person to be consumed by it as well. So yeah, no, absolutely, I'm glad to do it, and there will be a more in-depth video that I'll put out sometime soon. Perligo, hello, it is good to see you again. Just to catch you up as to where we are right now, Ted made the lenses as a coping mechanism for his parents having died, starts a company, died in the fire that started in his workshop as a result of the events of Inverted Forest. He haunts the house now. Jared and Ashton have moved into the house. They were previously harvesters. That's the primary place where we are. There's been some random offshoots though, like the pink phone. If you know what the pink phone is, let me just show you what the pink phone is. Stupid pink phone. The pink phone over here at the beginning of the Napalm album trailer shows up in several videos. Really irritating. I don't understand what it is, and I'll be sent to an early grave because of it. And are they on the run when they move into the house? Quite possibly. I do believe that the events of Ghostman are immediately after the events of Inverted Forest, but it's strange to me that they seem so chill about going into the house. It makes me wonder about some of what's going on behind the scenes, if there's some unseen characters at play, unseen correspondence at play, that we don't fully understand yet about how they came to know about the house, how they escaped the Inverted Forest, and all that. So possibly could very well be the case. But one thing we just touched on, Perligo, is this idea, and tell me what you think of this idea that there are two ways that the haze can take someone. There is either through the wearing of the lenses, where a person is pacified to the effects of the haze, or the effects of the haze are accelerated on a person and they become a ghost as a result of it. Or, as we see from Jarrett in the Ghostman music video, he doesn't put on the lenses, but he's being taken. He's turning into a ghost man. He is shifting in the video, which is very interesting to me. Basically, like, okay, you either get too curious about the Haze and you become obsessed with it and you give into it just blatantly, which I think is what's going on here with Jarrett and this idea of him going too far into exploring the house. Or you put on the lenses and the Haze takes you because you can't even see it. Good and necessary thing in the titular track, but it's seen as bad in the music video. Yeah, that's another interesting detail. C.S. Lewis Screwtape Letters Dilemma. I confess it has been a while since I've read anything from the Screwtape Letters, so you'd have to remind me of exactly what that is. But quite possibly, I wouldn't be terribly shocked if that had some influence in different areas of the story, or if there's some similarities. But continuing, because I'm trying to get from this point onward, see how far we can get. So the music video happens for Ghost Man. We see here at the end of the video, he seems to be taken. He seems to be turning into a ghost, quite unfortunately. And then there we go. That's the ending of the video. And for Napalm, that was a very weird, like C.S. Lewis Screwtape Letters. C.S. Lewis is such a W, because what you just sent there sums up exactly what I was saying. He says there are two bad things: are being obsessed with demons or disbelieving in them. I think that could be the two ways in which the Haze takes someone. If you disbelieve in the demons by putting on the lenses and you drown out the problem with something else and you just kind of ignore it, or you take a false solution, or you become obsessed with the problem itself. That seems to be what's going on here in Napalm, or in Ghost Man, with Jarrett, in that he's becoming obsessed with. I know, right? They have so many deep connections, so many very interesting ways of putting things in their story. It's great. But yeah, so that's what I've been trying to say for like the past 10 minutes, and C.S. Lewis and your connection to it summed it up very well. So that's the ending of Ghost Man. They move in, they get too curious, they are taken by it, so to speak. So then To My Grave comes, and To My Grave is a combination, like, obviously there's a bunch of shots here. Hello, Courtney, see you in the comments here, and Sunseekers. All these different shots of this Ghost Man and of Jarrett. And here is what I think is going on here. You did? I gotta read the Screwtape Letters. I should have read it already, but the fact that JD has taken inspiration from it even more makes me really want to read it. That is actually sick. I didn't even realize Jared had read the Screwtape Letters. There's so many... Dude. There's so many discussions that I so desperately want to have with these guys about so many things. And if I had the opportunity to just sit down with Jared and Ashton for like a day, on or off record, and just get to understand so much of their thought processes behind this, their inspirations. There's so much meat in this story. I cannot properly express how much this band has meant to me over the past few years. So it's really awesome seeing these types of connections. Say something off record. Yeah, I hope I get the opportunity. I'm gonna hope I get the opportunity at some point. These guys are awesome. God bless you guys. If you're watching this stream, you guys are awesome. You're amazing. Your content's awesome. So we have To My Grave. So what I think To My Grave is, you likely will meet them in November. They usually stick around after the show. That's not a promise I can't speak for them, but they usually stick around after the show and meet people. I got to meet them in 2024 for their Flares and Embers tour. Great guys, very down to earth, so chill, so awesome. Right, continue on really quickly with the lore here. To My Grave. So what I think is going on here, for going chronologically, the Harvesters, they leave the company, they try and destroy the lenses, they're on the run, and I guess this house could be somewhat of a safe haven, or it's, for them, they're trying to understand more about the origins of what they got themselves involved in. Jarrett gets taken in some way by the Ghost Man, or he gets way too interested in it. The To My Grave music video, what I think is going on here, this is what is happening in Jarrett's mind, or in Jarrett's soul, so to speak. He has not fully been taken by the Ghost Man, and what I think is going on is we see this repeated struggle, we see this sighting of the Ghost Man off and on throughout this video, and this is Jarrett interacting with his Ghost Man, with himself as a Ghost Man. And the song To My Grave, what I think is so interesting about this is To My Grave, first off, interestingly enough, it's in the key, it's in the same key as Gravitate, which I thought was so cool. Both of these songs are about holding on to something that is ultimately harming you. And what I think is going on here is Gravitate and To My Grave are both songs sort of about holding on to, if we're looking at it through a Christian perspective, sin. So what's going on here is Jarrett is talking about how much he would give to hold on. Yeah, I don't care about the cost. I know I should walk away. I'm not saying that he is the Ghost Man for sure, but I think he could be, because this takes place immediately after the Ghost Man music video, and we know this because he's in the same field that's in front of the house. He's wearing the same outfit at the end of the video. So if this is the case, then it would make sense that this is what is going on in his head. And this is sort of a visual representation of the battle that's taking place between himself and his Ghost Man self as he's shifting from being inside the house. It could be. It could be, for all I know. Assumed it was someone in the crowd listening who's hearing about the light for the first time. It could be. I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure. There's so many different ways it could be taken. But for continuity's sake, with some of the stuff that I've been talking about, the interpretation I'm taking is that this is a representation of Jarrett's Ghost Man. The reason I say this is obviously at the end of the Ghost Man music video, he hugs this Ghost Man, shines the light, and then it ends, and we see him, he sort of does this, sort of this plop motion. The lenses fall, the sheet hits the ground, and there it is. Like there are his lenses, there's the sheet, and it looks as though he sort of broke out from being a ghost. Like somehow the light was shown to him, which goes back to your point about it being a person in the crowd who's hearing about the light for the first time. I think this music video can be taken in multiple ways. But as it directly relates to the character Jarrett plays in the story, that's my interpretation. This being immediately after the events of Ghost Man, he manages to resist, he sees the light, and he escapes. He escapes the house. So he is heading back out on a mission. There go the lenses. He picks them up, he's touching them, and out he goes into the haze. It pans up. I don't have the volume on right now, but there's sirens going. I'll see you, Levi. Glad you had a great time at Dude Perfect. You got to meet them? Dude, that's awesome. That's sick. So happy for you. I know it was a great show. Christ is King. God bless you all. Seek the sun. Stay alive. God bless you too, man. I will see you later. You have a great one. So yeah, that's where To My Grave goes. So a new chapter begins. Again, we have the dual speaker. I want this speaker. I really want this speaker. Here we see him typing in this house. We see Ashton picking up his drums. They're packing up. They're getting everything out of the house. So this is, again, I think after the events of To My Grave. They've escaped the house. So they're like, we got to go back and we got to destroy this thing. So they go back. They take all their stuff out of the house. They move out. Then they set it on fire. Yeah. So that video sums up a lot right there. They set the house on fire, and I think this is really the point where they really start to head on the run. They open this basement. I don't know what the basement really is. I don't know what's particularly in there. One thing, go back to the part where Jared is running. Okay. A new chapter begins. Let's see if I can find it here. He's wearing the lenses here. It is the same place where Ted is skipping at the beginning of the Modern Era music video. No band has any business being like this. No band has any business being this good at their job. It is Willowcrest Avenue. Does anyone know where these locations are? Where the house is? I want to know where Ted's house is. I want to know where Willowcrest Avenue is. There's so much here, dude. There's so much stuff to dive into about the world surrounding all this lore. No, I mean, yeah, lore-wise and Ophelia. I mean real world. I want to go to Ted's house. Wait, what? Wait, which one is Connor's place? The mansion or Ted's house? Or the house on Willowcrest Avenue? Or both, I guess. That's sick. And is it part of that house, like the mansion? Do you know where that's from? Connor Dean has generational wealth? Okay. Okay. Makes sense. JD, thank you guys so much for being here. I'm about to lose connection on a flight. You guys are so awesome. I hope to be able to ask you some of these questions soon. And believe me, there's more coming soon. I will be putting stuff out soon. Owen and Evan, love my videos. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah. This dude, that's great. Awesome. JD, thank you so much for being here. You guys are awesome. Everything that I've said about y'all as a band, how awesome y'all are, how much y'all have meant to me, mean it all. Can't wait to see more from y'all as well. So, thank y'all so much. So good to see y'all. But I need to wrap it up. I need to keep going. So I think a lot of what has happened in the lore thus far has happened in a relatively short period of time. There's a lot of information and background info. I think a lot has happened in a short period of time. So let's summarize and get to where we're at. Ted Silver, as a kid, parents got in a car accident. Makes the lenses to cope with them. He starts manufacturing the lenses at large. He creates a company known as Silver Enterprise, who gains primary control over a town known as Ophelia. They employ people known as harvesters to harvest the rose-colored lens serum through arguably dubious means. Jared and Ashton were previously harvesters, and they saw the light. They understood what they were doing was wrong, so they burned down the inverted forest. They tried to destroy the lenses. They escaped. However, they started getting in a little bit too deep. They got a little bit too interested, went into the haunted house, almost didn't make it out alive. But Jared and Ashton, I guess, both escape being a ghost man. They temporarily evacuate the house. They come back, take all of their stuff out, set the house on fire. Now they are on the run from the authorities of Ophelia. Or the authorities of Silver Enterprise. And what I think is interesting here, we see this progression. We see when the nosebleeds start. Sunseekers, I was talking with you about this the other day. The nosebleeds seem to be a representation of withdrawal from the rose-colored lenses. You bleed after having not worn the lenses for a time. So that would make sense. There's been some time. They're on the run. We get this info video about Edward Chambers. He has disappeared. We don't know if he's dead for sure. He might be. He might not be. Who knows? We'll probably hear more about Edward Chambers soon, hopefully. He explains a lot about the company. We learn a little bit about the harvesters. They harvest the RCL serum. They work hard, and they are single. He sees the rose-colored lens, I do want to understand what the symbolism of this one single red window pane is. I don't understand fully yet, but we'll see. See what happens. Then there's Edward Chambers there, thrashing on the floor. and then we get the silverscreenbroadcasting.com URL, which that website, it's still up. It used to be the Stitch.io game. Blood Red Window Pane. Yeah. Inverted Forest. You know, I'm starting to realize just how much might be connected to Inverted Forest. Blood Red Window Pane. What if Edward Chambers might have some connections to Inverted Forest now that I think about it? I don't know for sure yet. We'll see. I need to... There's so much I gotta figure out, dude. There's so much that I have to figure... We, the Suns... We gotta do this together, guys. So much as we and the Sunseekers have to figure out. Holy cow. The Blood Red Window Pane. My goodness. This man doesn't have any business. This is okay. Keep going. We're gonna calm down. We're gonna keep going. Okay. So, Edward Chambers, he publishes his research on what is wrong with the lenses. They're terrible. They're bad. They inspire a sense of euphoria. They lead to somewhat of a death, a overcoming of by the haze in those who wear them. We have album 3. Jarrett has gone to the doctor. He's back in town, which is very interesting because he has flashbacks to the fact that he's removed his lenses. He has flashbacks to having burned down the house, but he is still here in town talking to the members of the town of Ophelia. So I do think that is very interesting. And also the fact that TMSTIDK shows up in the album 3 trailer makes me... does this mean that TMSTIDK happens in universe? Because if so, I'm going to need to analyze this. Analyze that music video again. When we see these guys, they're wandering around the facilities. They talk to Edward Chambers. The doctor puts on his lenses. We see Jarrett say that he's lying about having worn his lenses. We see him get into the casket. Absolutely. Oh. Hold up. Give me a second here. Sorry. Phone alarm going off. I'm probably going to end the stream here relatively soon. Sorry about messing with the camera a bunch there. The blood in the water could be from him washing his face in that case. That very, very well could be. Team STIDK is lore that I need to update. Yeah. It very honestly, it could be lore. It very well could be lore at this point. Who knows? But continuing on. Honestly, yeah, that would make sense. This is cool. This little detail here. I'm gonna. Oh, how do I zoom in on this? Yeah, let's zoom in on this a little bit. You look here, this says wanted, and it says anonymous, Silver Enterprise announcement. It says, citizens of the Haze remain vigilant. 2 individuals who are part of an extremist group calling themselves the Sunseekers have defied order, blah, blah, blah. Descending into madness, their reckless actions, blah, blah, blah. Deliberate burning of a dwelling, disrupting the peace. We have cultivated, their motives remain unclear, such is the fate, blah, 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 blah. Do not be alarmed, everything is as it should be. Keep blah, 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 blah. It says, do not be curious. Their path leads only to blah, 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 blah. So, They're little details like that are in their videos. Dramatic stylized shot of the blood in the water. Yeah. No, yeah, I get what you're saying. There's shots like that where we get very good. I think my camera off, guys? My camera's been off. I didn't even realize. My fault. There we go. All right. There's so many little shots, little details like that show up throughout the videos that they put out that are so worth looking into because they reveal so much more about the story. So it gives them a fresh pair of lenses. We get this shot. The doctor is a ghost man. They're running through the facility. We get this sick shot of whatever this is. Dude, like... This is literally a documentation of how a dead person turns into a ghost. Like, dude. The visual... I'm just gushing over the visual effort at this point that they put in here. We see Jarrett on the train tracks tied up. I don't know what the context of that is. In regard to the fate that they do eventually meet. The fact they haven't made more music videos with all these visuals is tragic, especially given how good Echo Chamber. I agree, though. There were so many visuals that came out during Napalm, during Silver. It makes me wonder if they're sitting on some like major stuff that they could drop at any point, because like I seriously wonder if there's content out there that is yet to be released to us that will be released, because there is so much that we've seen that hasn't gotten super deeply explored. But we'll see what happens. I have a theory about what could be coming next, but I'll touch on that later. Yeah, that's true. I don't think they're dropping a new album this year. I think it'll be in 2027. I think it could be on perihelion, which is the day that the Earth is closest to the sun. Don't ask. I don't know if they're dropping an album. They could be announcing an album. I'll put it that way. 3 new albums, yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All I know, crazy stuff is coming. I just know that. I don't even know what it is, but I know it. This was an Ophelia Wellness Center. I thought that was so cool. The fact that they like made a custom sign for this, that was just so cool to me. He looks around. Everyone walking around in the town is a ghost man. Very interesting. And then we have Echo Chamber. In an Echo Chamber, just to give a synopsis, they eventually get caught by the bad guys. They get sent into the White Caskets, and the White Caskets send them into presumably what the Echo Chamber is for each of them in some way. It breaks them down. It reflects themselves back at themselves. It's sort of Silver Enterprises' method of, I guess, emotional torture to bring someone back into submission with the company. Could be wrong, could be right, who knows. But that's where our story has left us so far. is they have been caught by the company after their short run out. So that's where we're left. So are there any questions or any thoughts up to this point? Because as for expositing on the lore up to now, that's as much as I have that we can really get through. It's been a couple hours now. No more questions. As far as where I think they're going next, check out my... No more questions. All makes sense now. Everything is perfectly clear. There are little things that I know I have thoughts on a lot more. Some things that I've been prompted to think about because of questions. So if y'all have any questions y'all are thinking about, let me know. I'll try and address them. But I do want to go back to the beginning. Levi... Was it Levi? Oh, no. I think I missed some questions at the beginning that Levi asked. So Levi, if you look back at this stream, put them down below, and I will try and answer it. But I think I also may have addressed them just normally, but just not directly to Levi. As far as where I think the lore is going, I think there's evidence to support the idea that we may be getting a Sunseeker dedicated album next. I don't know for sure. The reason I say that is because To My Grave was a indicative single for Silver as an album. If you look at the card for To My Grave, the queen with the rose-colored lenses on it, the symbol on there is a casket with the Sunseekers logo. And interestingly enough, there's an X, right? There is an X on that casket, and X is the Roman numeral for 10, and Silver was released on October 10th of 2025. So I thought that was really interesting. Yeah, I thought that was very interesting, but I think they were telling us about Silver all the way back when To My Grave came out. And as a result, I think Coward could be a reflective single for whatever we get next. Sort of a chiasmic setup. You have Coward, the single for The Light, come first. Then you have To My Grave. And then the album represented by To My Grave comes next. So then maybe the next album is the album that's represented by Coward with the Sunseekers logo. That's my working theory. I think it makes a lot of sense. I could be totally wrong, though. There are probably holes in it. But we'll see what happens next. I'm very excited, but we've been left on a bit of a sad cliffhanger with Jared and Ashton both being caught in the echo chamber in the white caskets. So, but, yeah. All right. Well, y'all, that's all I got. I don't have anything else. Who's still here? We got 5 viewers still per Lego. Thank you so much for coming. Courtney, thank you. JD Music Fan, thank you for being here. I will likely be doing some more of these, maybe some more dedicated versions. What I'll probably do... actually, I won't tell what I'll probably do, because I don't want to commit to something that I can't figure out. Courtney, good night. Good night, JD Music Fan, Perligo. Great to see y'all here. Looks like there's 2 other people here. Yeah, no problem. Glad to do it. Apologies in advance to the people. I say in advance, but I'm saying this at the end of the stream as well. To the people who are watching this who are perplexed by my choppy explanation of all of this. Janine, good to see you here. Found it from Perligo's post. Perligo, thank you for posting that. That was very grateful for that. JD Music Fan, thank you for sending it in the Discord. I think, in all likelihood, I will be coming out with my Haze video relatively soon. Should be coming out with my lore video, like dedicated lore video, not just stream, relatively soon as well. So we'll see what happens. Should be a lot more organized than it was tonight. But yeah, follow me, AntiHazeExtremist, on Instagram. Email me, antihazeextremist@gmail.com. Yeah, I will answer questions. I don't just plan on doing JD on this channel. I plan on covering other music. JD is just what most immediately concerns me right now as far as the music. So, but yeah, all right, y'all. Thank you for watching. Godspeed. I will see y'all later. God bless. Keep seeking the sun, and may the great veil forever be torn.